Do you ever fantasize about Drumdums?
What's up, everybody? It's time to count down the greatest, most outlandish, sexiest dance scenes in horror history. Let's do this! What is up, guys? First things first, no way that light's staying like that through this whole video. I might give you guys a seizure. Let's go with blue, or should we go with purple? Purple's a good dance color, right? Anyway, one thing that we often overlook in horror is the fun aspect of it. And with fun comes dance. I'm not gonna break into a Kevin Bacon speech from Footloose, but there are quite a few instances of great dance scenes or whole sequences in horror. So I'm gonna count down my top 10, and I'm gonna give you 3 honorable mentions. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But before we get into this, this will be dedicated to Stephanie Porter, one of my newest patrons. If you're of a certain tier, then I will dedicate a video to you. So Stephanie, this one's for you. Anyway, let's jump right into it. First honorable mention is going to be Violet from Friday the 13th Part 5. Friday Part 5 is a whacked out sequel as it is. It's really fun, and there's a lot of scenes in the movie that kind of catch you off guard. There's a lot of WTF moments in the movie. And one of the biggest WTF moments was that dance scene by Violet later in the movie. It's total 80s. I mean, she's got the whole get up and everything with the heavy makeup on, with the 80s hairstyle, all that great stuff. I dug the song that she's dancing to, and she's doing like a kind of a robot type of dance. Now, back in the 80s, I was a teenager in the 80s, and I used to be into breakdancing. And one of the breakdancing moves was like this robotic type of move. You know, I'm not gonna do it right now very well for you, but the way she did it was different than anything I had even seen in the 80s. It was very strange looking, very weird. And so weird that it belongs in this countdown as an honorable mention. Okay, next honorable mention is going to be from a recent review of mine, The Final Girls. There is a scene in the movie where one of the more slutty characters, Tina, she does this like Warrant Cherry Pie dance to kind of summon the killer in the movie. It's near the last act of the movie. And behind the scenes, the actress actually created that dance on her own. She just said, let's do this, let's go. Downed a couple energy drinks, and what we got on screen was the final product. And it's pretty good, actually. It's pretty infectious. And you know, it just, everybody loves a good stripper dance. I guess you could say that. And it's a fun scene. Next honorable mention before we get into the top 10 is going to be from the Suspiria remake. It's for the character Olga. And this is not a fun dance scene whatsoever. A lot of the dance scenes in that movie, A, are very different from the original, and B, are unsettling. Like, I've never seen dance scenes like this that made me feel uncomfortable. And the one that makes you feel the most uncomfortable is with Olga in the last act, because she is being manipulated during the dance. She can't control her movements during the dance. And so, big kudos to this actress that was able to pull off this performance of making it look like her body was being manipulated while not being under her own control. And it's just a really creepy, and it fits more into the horror element of any dance scene. If you wanted to make a dance scene scary, the Suspiria remake did it. Okay, top 10. Boy, I got some doozies here too. I did a lot of shifting around in this list. I got some great ones here for you guys, okay? So I know you're probably gonna throw tomatoes at me for some of the placement in these, but I stand by it. Okay, number 10 is Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. This might be one of the most parodied dance scene I've ever seen. They did it in one of the Jay and Silent Bob movies. It's another one of those very unsettling and weird dances where you got Buffalo Bill. He has his captive in the well and telling her to, it puts the lotion in the basket. But he's just sitting in his mirror and sewing his skins together. And then he's listening to this song, Goodbye Horses. And because of that movie, that song will forever just make me feel very uncomfortable. It's just, and I don't even know if the song would make you feel uncomfortable if you didn't know about Silence of the Lambs. So maybe if some of you are watching this and you've never seen Silence of the Lambs, a little experiment, listen to Goodbye Horses on YouTube and let me know if it makes you feel uncomfortable. Because I'm curious, because it makes me feel very uncomfortable. And he does the tuck in the scene. He does do a tuck, and the tuck is strange and weird. And yeah, it's a tuck. Number 9, I had to throw this on here, even though it's not a movie. Technically, it's a music video. Thriller by Michael Jackson. Big shout out to Michael Jackson. I know he's a big fan. Everybody's a big fan of Michael Jackson. But Thriller, honestly, was one of my first scares. You know, I remember watching that video when I was very young. I was probably like 10 years old, 11 years old. And there's quite a few scenes in there that really creep me out, like the zombie scene, the yellow eyes scene, the demon scene, all that stuff, the werewolf scene. Michael Jackson put in the work for that video, thanks to Mr. John Landis. You can't deny the talent of MJ and his dancing ability in that video. And it's another one of those videos that you want to learn that dance. You want to dance with Michael Jackson as he's doing it. It's such a cool freaking scene. And I still love it to this day. It's still technically my favorite music video ever. Number 8, let's get a little steamy. From Dusk Till Dawn. There's a scene once they get to the nightclub. I think it's the Titty Twister. And Selma Hayek's character comes out with this freaking snake. And even behind the scenes, George Clooney was stating that he had a rough time with that scene. It was hard to keep it together when you have Selma Hayek putting her foot in Quentin Tarantino's mouth and just being really sexy, being Selma Hayek. And it's probably the sexiest scene on this countdown, I will say that. But Selma Hayek quickly entered the hearts of every adolescent male of that time period and since. But I think it's genius too, because this scene is kind of a precursor to everybody vamping out and it turning into just a straight up vampire horror film. So they like set the table, they kind of seduce you first, so you don't expect what's to come after. So kind of genius, actually. Number 7, Fright Night, the original from 1985, the dance club scene where Amy, she is seduced by Jerry. And I actually posed this question on my recent Fright Night commentary to the ladies in the audience. Does Jerry do something for you? And I believe, like Destiny, she said that Jerry doesn't really do anything for her except in the nightclub scene. You know, that's the power that Chris Sarandon had in this movie. That's the power of a great actor that might not necessarily turn the women folk on, but then in another scene, make them completely smitten. He does a great job in this scene. It's a very seductive scene, and Amy can't hold it together. It doesn't hurt that he has his vampire powers to boot, but it's a very seductive scene, actually. It's a very sexy scene, and it works very well. Number 6, got to throw this one in here for fun, right? Jimmy from Friday Part 4. You knew this was going to make it into the countdown. Now, behind the scenes, the song that they were actually dancing to was AC/DC Back in Black, which it's weird when you, like, that song doesn't feel like it fits with the scene. The song that they use in the scene feels more fitting. But the big thing that everybody's talking about is Crispin Glover's dance, and Joseph Zito didn't know what Crispin Glover was going to do. He was one of these actors, he's very method, and he was just like, hey, I got an idea, I'm going to do this, just roll the camera and let's go. And once he got in front of the camera, man, I mean, just magic to be able to pull off something that freaking crazy. And I like a dance scene that's unlike any other dance you've ever seen in your life. And it worked very well. And it was hilarious. That's another thing. Just in this movie that's supposed to be this like very serious slasher movie, in the middle of it, you got this dance scene that you can't help but gut laugh. It's just so freaking funny. And it would cause me neck and back pain like you wouldn't believe if I tried that. Number 5, Slumber Party Massacre 2. This is one that might surprise you. Some of you might not have seen Slumber Massacre Party 2, but the killer in the scene, I call him the Rockabilly Killer. He's not scary at all. He's just a good time. This is a straight up like horror comedy. Whereas the first Slumber Party Massacre, yeah, it was definitely tongue-in-cheek, but it leaned on the serious side too, especially when it came to Russ Thorn. In this one, the Rockabilly Killer, he's just there to have fun. He just wants to party before he kills you, right? And so there's this whole dance number that he goes into when he first enters the house in the last act of the movie. You know, it's a whole choreographed type deal, and it's infectious. And you can't help but want to get up and dance with him. It's just a really fun scene. Okay, these last 4 are doozies. These are really big ones, okay? And I got a good surprise in here for you too. All right, number 4, Night of the Demons, Angela. That scene is just so infectious. There's this song, Stigmata, that she's dancing to. You give me a song in a dance scene that I love, that just adds to it. Because not every dance scene has a great song in my mind. You know, but this one, I loved the track that she was dancing to. And then, Amelia Kincaid is like a classically trained dancer. So she really brought her A game. Like Crispin Glover, she actually stated, hey, I got an idea. I'm going to do this dance, and let's just go with it. Her dance was very different than Crispin Glover's dance, of course. You know, this was a classically trained dancer, actress, and I think she nailed it. I think the dance, it's a nice mixture of scary and sexy. And it's a great transition too, because after that scene, she turns into the demon. So she seduces the guy that's in the room with her, and then at the end of the dance, she becomes the scariest part of the movie. Like, Angela is really the demon that we all think of when we think of Night of the Demons, you know, on the cover, that really scary, freaky image. Well, of course, we all think of Linnea Quigley too for the lipstick scene, but in terms of being scary, wow, Angela nailed it, and she had an awesome dance scene to boot. Number 3, Speak of the Devil, Linnea Quigley, Return of the Living Dead, the Tombstone Dance, Trash. That whole sequence, that whole scene is just freaking gold. It's one of the scenes that really made Return of the Living Dead my favorite zombie film, you know? This is something that I had not seen in a zombie film before. You know, there's just this perfect element of comedy horror in the movie. But there's this scene where Trash is just sitting against the tombstone, and she gives her whole, do you ever fantasize about dying speech? She rips her shirt off, and then she goes and gets on top of the tombstone and just starts doing that famous dance. Trash is taking off her clothes again, you know, all that great stuff in that scene. And there's definitely some controversy behind the scenes too, because her bottom portion, trying to be careful with my words here, but let's just say Dan O'Bannon wasn't expecting what he saw when she took off her bottoms, okay? We'll leave it at that. And it caused a little bit of controversy, but it's in the movie, it's still there. But it's a very famous dance though. And it's probably one of the most talked about dance scenes on this countdown. But it also just showcases that, like, Linnea Quigley, she comes to play. She's a team player. She's fearless in front of the camera. And, you know, it takes some guts to get up there on that tombstone completely stark naked and dance like that. And she nailed it. Okay, my number 2 and my number 1, I've switched time and time again. One of them is probably the most famous dance here, but then one of them is actually like my favorite dance scene, the one that I love immensely, but it's a movie that not too many people talk about. So anyway, number 2 is going to be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Jesse going up to clean his room. Of course, everybody talks about that scene, right? I thought about putting that as number 1, but we'll get to number 1. It's another one of those scenes where spontaneity caused magic. And Mark Patton went up. He was nervous as hell, but he had an idea, and so he does the whole routine that he does. That's probably one of the most parodied dance scenes amongst the horror community on YouTube. I've even done one myself. It's a fun scene to put together, if I'm being honest, you know. But remember too, when this movie came out, they were not really marketing this as, you know, a gay undertoned type of movie. And I think this scene right here, if you weren't sure by this point, you were definitely sure after this dance. And I guarantee you, every horror fan, when they clean their room, they think about this dance. Not gonna lie. And probably half of you perform it. Okay, number one, I like to throw you guys surprises. Once Bitten, the dance scene with Jim Carrey and Karen Coppins in the movie. This was before Ace Ventura. This was when Jim Carrey hadn't established himself yet. And Once Bitten doesn't really focus on Jim Carrey's comedic talents for the most part. Yes, there are some funny scenes in this movie, but it's not like what he would do later, you know, in his straight-up comedies. It's more of just a vampire comedy, and he's just a straight-up lead actor. But there's one scene in the movie that really showcased what was to come with Jim Carrey, and it was this dance scene. There's this song called Hands Off. Lauren Hutton, the vampire character, she's got this like little tug of war with the character Robin, and Jim Carrey plays Mark. But then once they break into the dance scene, I like a dance scene that actually plays into the plot of the movie, and this one does it perfectly. And you can tell this whole dance sequence was choreographed quite well by the numbers. And also I got the vibe that Karen Coppins was a trained dancer. She just had that vibe about her. But very talented actress, and I always thought her career would go farther, but I think she did a lot of TV work after this. But of course, Jim Carrey, he skyrocketed after this. But Once Bitten is a movie that isn't talked about enough, I think, in the horror community. It's such a fun movie, but that dance sequence in the middle, Hands Off, man, it just gets your blood pumping when you're watching it. It's such a fun scene. Jim Carrey, he throws his leg up and plays it as a guitar. It's just insanity. And you're rolling, but you're also like dazzled by the talent, and everything just comes together for the scene. So that's why I put it as number one, because every time I watch that scene, my blood gets boiling. I love it. It's just so fun. So anyway, guys, that's it. My top 10 favorite dance scenes in horror. Let me know some of your favorites down below. Did I miss any? I'm sure I did. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day on Fridays. We do Free For All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. And Drumdum out.